how are we doing today, guys? God bless each and every single one of you guys. Today, we're going to be going over IWM and NEO stock, how it affects the broader market. But I want to say thank you all for stopping in today. Hope you stay the full length of the video because we got a lot of stuff to talk about on NEO and IWM. I want to start with NEO or IWM though because we haven't talked about the broader market in a little bit, and I haven't given an update on AMC GameStop. So this does kind of correlate to all of that. And I wanted to loop that in for NEO. So NEO shareholders, NEO community, you guys have been amazing. Slap the subscribe button, slap the like button. Let's get straight into it, guys. So IWM continuing to cook shorts here. The one thing that I've continuously covered is the lowering volume on this trend, right? You see a nice retest of this neckline going all the way back to November of 2021. And that is what's important here, right? You made a very beautiful cumulative structure here, very cuppy action, right? Cup and handle. Off of that breakout, you had the retest. Now, from that retest, you freaking went ballistic, right? And this chart is on the weekly time frame. I want to give you guys some due diligence so you guys could kind of see inside of my mind and take a little peeky weeky, right? We saw on the weekly time frame a hidden bullish divergence, and we covered this on the channel of why this may be a tremendous opportunity, right? And what you saw here on IWM was higher lows on the stock, but lower lows on the weekly RSI, guys. When you saw that hammer candle, I literally was pounding my fist on the table, saying that this thing looks amazing. And from that, you've sprung into what our thesis is of $300 on IWM index. Now, you haven't hit it yet, right? You're sitting right around, I think the high was 287, but I do have conviction that you're going to make this full tap of this $294 to $300 wherever you go. And truthfully, traders, this is the first time on the weekly time frame that you've taken a little peeky weeky outside of the regular bull zone, right? You are officially in oversold or overbought territory for the first time since 2021. And we know, guys, the biggest moves happen in overbought. The last time you were also there was here. You do also see nasty rejections from there. So I would just anticipate, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I do not give financial advice, but I do expect some volatility on the indice given that, right? This was the last time you saw a bullish engulfing candle followed by a rally into the bull zone. And this thing just kept on going, right? There's a strong opportunity here. As you saw, right, bullish engulfing on the monthly time frame. Insane, traders, insane. This candle, 12%, highest candle since here, right, 18%. I think that there's no coincidences in the market. I think there a lot of times these breakouts, although history does not repeat, it does often rhyme. And you could not set up an indice that is going to be leading NEO, AMC, GameStop, right? Leading these meme stocks or small cap stocks. You couldn't set it up better than it is today. So that's why we remain bullish in our thesis. And we're going to tie this straight in to NEO stock because NEO stock traders, I wanted to give you guys a technical update on the daily and the 4-hour chart because you're doing something significantly bullish. And I took a snippet of this, but I just wanted to say, just look at it, right? Never mind. I don't care that you're down 4%, but what matters here is look at this previous resistance. 1, 2, 3, 4 taps. On your fifth tap, a absolute boom boom candle up 6.75% through this resistance, and then you retested it perfectly. You're now seeing a 4-hour golden cross, and I expect this to see nice volume to the upside, hopefully with a launch to make a higher high and a higher low, right? Because this is a textbook breakout on NEO stock. I do expect this to come with some volume if this is in fact a breakout. And on the daily time frame, look at that freaking volume, not just on the daily, but also look at the candle up 7.57% above the 9-day EMA, which we called, and you're about to cross the daily MACD green. If that happens, traders, I do expect you to make a much more accumulative structure, right? These cups just keep on coming, and I'm fine with it. Because once you get this, and what often looks like a cup and handle, right? This is very, very much a cup and handle if you want to look at that perspective. of $7 being your resistance line and then this as your handle, I expect this thing to go ballistic. And if it doesn't, hey, we're wrong, but the structure is there, right? This is by far one of the best looking daily charts in the market right now. And in my opinion, right, if you can see some volume come in here, as you only traded an inside bar today, that's why I said today's really a nothing burger. On lowering volume, I expect maybe 1 to 2 more inside bars before you see significant volume come in. If you go to the 5-minute, or maybe we'll take a little peek on the 30, you can see this retest on the smaller charts. I would say once you break probably that trend on the 30-minute. This is on the 4-hour and the daily, a textbook breakout and retest. So that's what we're watching here on the short time frames for NEO. If you go to the weekly time frame, though, this is where it gets a little bit more exciting, right? On the weekly time frame, this looks beautiful, right? Very accumulative U-shaped structure. And then you see, right, the stock has been making constant higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. This is just another higher low to the process as you look to hold this important trend line, right? You're now seeing a little bit of a top wicked breakout candle. So we need to see this follow through on the stock. But regardless, I think it looks really, really good with the technical profit target of a cup and handle breakout being, right? Being this neckline on top of the cup or on top of the handle, that takes you above your weekly 200-day EMA, right around that 10 schmeckles or $10 make 'em holler price target. So that is beautiful. Although the one that we are paying much, much more attention to and watching closely is this very, very pinpoint shoulder, head, right shoulder. And if you come up here, traders, to complete this right shoulder, all hands on deck, right? This thing is going to be the most exciting stock going into the summer, just like it was back in 2021. So I'm looking forward to a potential breakout and squeeze on this stock, upwards of 18 to 20 bucks. That would be the profit target for that. And on the monthly, you're looking even better, right? Even freaking better. Sellers have left the chat during this October to January phase when you saw lessening volume. You've now seen bulls regain control, right? 4 months in a row bullish. And what we're really watching here on the stock is, can you finish this as a bullish hammer candle and then push even higher, right? On the monthly time frame, that is my wish, and you're already getting a little bit of that story. We talked about it in our last video that if you finish the month as a bullish hammer candle, that would be 2 bullish, 3 technically, bullish candlesticks in a row, a bullish engulfing, an inverted hammer, and then a hammer stick candle. And for me, that's like end of story, right? You're most likely to break out, in my opinion. On the quarterly time frame, traders, if we do see that breakout and everything is going in our direction, momentum is on our side, there is a indicator that I like to watch for on the quarterly time frame. That is the quarterly MACD, traders. Now, our last quarter, we had a bullish hammer candle. Although I'd like to really emphasize this one piece of information, right? The last 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters, if you count this quarter, has had lessening volume. Typically, when you see this on such a macro phase, right, you're going to see a more macro break, whether it be to the downside or to the upside. That's pretty much a year, right, of consolidated volume to the downside after a big break in the summer, last summer actually. So what I expect here is, let's say we get the macro break, we get the quarterly MACD cross. This is possibly setting up for one of the juiciest setups since back here in 2020 when we saw this big 1, 2, 3 white soldiers in a row. Quarters up 100+% traders. That would be magnificent, right? When you're talking Neo 100, that would be what it would take. And right now, I'm not going to count anything out. I'm not that bullish, but if the stars align, traders, anything is possible in the markets, because truthfully, there's so much that we still have yet to learn. On the daily time frame, everything still looks beautiful as we talked about. Let's take a little peeky weeky at NEO stock on the daily time frame on the RSI. You've broken through the mid-band like we talked about you doing. And on the news updates, right, I thought this was fascinating for anyone who cares. NEO stock eyes the best week in a month. BlackRock nearly double stake. And that is tremendous, right? When you look at the institutional holdings, where they buy and why they buy, typically you see this before big breakouts. As you see, NEO stock is set up. Big players are positioning themselves, and hopefully, right, hopefully we can see this thing take that next step. I did mark a key technical spot that is going to act as a landmark for our test, right? And this technical gap currently sits at 1082. Don't mistake that. That's the high of this candle. 1082 is going to be a very important gap fill that you could come up and fill here. And we should expect some pretty gnarly resistance once we break 771 right around 958. I say that because not only is 958 the inflection point in which you got demolished, right? You just landslide from 951 all the way down to your bottom here with some velocity. It was also the retest of this gap fill. And then you could see, right, you've tested it multiple times, right? Breakout, retest in spring. It was kind of like your launch pad for this shoulder, head, right shoulder. So 958 traders. We're going to be watching that in the near future, hopefully. On the weekly time frame, we'll take a little peeky weeky at NEO stock, and boom, right? Look at what you're doing. Exactly what we talked about in our last video. Ha 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 ha. If you guys, I just want to say, if you guys have found value in this so far, please, it would mean a lot to me. Slap the subscribe button, hit the like button, because we're coming with passion here, and we're giving stuff that not a lot of channels are giving, especially on NEO. So yeah, we're on the road to 2K. Hopefully we get there. We'll see. On NEO stock on the weekly time frame, you have had a break of the weekly RSI band. I love this inflection point, because you could see here that marked your bottom before in June 30th of 2025, before you make this massive rally, right? You broke it again during this bottom. And we called it on this channel saying that this would be either a bottom or a significant sign to the upside. You broke it, you retested it in a lower low or an equal low, created bullish divergence here, right? Create a bullish div for the one for the history books. Bullish div, retested the band, and then sprung into a 22.5% weekly candle. In doing that, right, you've then come back all the way after breaking this consolidative pattern, whatever you want to call it, bull, bear channel, whatever you want to call it, breakout, and then you've now seen a retest of not just the channel, of 580 and your weekly RSI band that you're bouncing off of. This, to me, is signaling confirmation from the bull side that you will look to make a higher high here. And if you do so, traders, not only are you testing 771, you're filling your gap at 711, and you should see a nice size launch, which just, like I said, I have so much conviction in this stock. Regardless of all the bears, regardless of the naysayers, I do believe the best is yet to come for NEO. And I'm excited for the summer. I really, really am. So, as well as earnings, right? Earnings, hopefully, will be a blast. You've seen volume kind of trickle down here over the last year. And that's kind of what is in line with our macro quarterly chart, right? Your quarterly chart is saying, hey, volume is at depressive levels compared to the previous history, right? At least compared to this candle in August. So this will come to an end, right? All trends come to an end, but right now the trend is your friend. The trend is up, but the volume is down. That is a little bearish, but we hopefully see a break of this on earnings, and then the money flows back in. So that is our thesis and our update on NEO stock. It looks magnificent. You're finding a bounce exactly where you have to, right at this horizontal line, right? As you can see, this is a key inflection point. Rejection, 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 bounce, rejection, 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 over, bounce, right? And off of these bounces, you see the largest moves, at least in the last 3 years, right? And so this is where we are today. I think just looking at the chart, it's hard to be bearish, traders. So I just want you guys to take this last part with you. Every single day is a gift, and that's why it's called the present, y'all. God bless each and every single one of you and your families. And remember, traders, the best is yet to come. Peace. Blow up this video, like, do whatever you gotta do.